because it has no permanence. See? Maya doesn't mean that a thing that I see does not exist. It exists for that time being. But by becoming attached to it, by identifying ourselves with it, we take it for real. See? Who was Bernard of Clairvaux? Was the question. Well, that was a French mystic. And he actually already said what's the basic teaching of the Book of Light, where the teaching leads to, you use the mind now by listening to me and by studying, but it leads you to emptying the mind. You do that in meditation. And when you empty your mind, you empty everything. You empty most of all the false views, the hatred, suspicion, carelessness, and so forth. See, the more you meditate, the more you drift towards the root spirit, where we all are united. And that's where you can't do anything evil anymore. If you can still fall back. You see, it depends on your state of ignorance and attachment. Nevertheless, try again and again. What is the Book of Light? Is it idealism, like Kant? Or is it pessimism, like Schopenhauer? Sort of positive pessimism. Well, it's not. These two are two wonderful philosophers, and Mahatera, Dr. Georg Grimm, actually writes about them, and he points out that they were wonderful thinkers, but they just misunderstood one thing. Their thinking, their philosophy, has to do with the perishable, with the transient. They were not familiar with the possibility of the imperishable. See? Schopenhauer said, you are your will. Buddha says you just have a will. You can have one or not have one. See, and therefore this is the great tragic of Schopenhauer. Of course, also the Book of Light teaches you are not your will. You are not even your thinking. You are not your thinking. What you do now when you listen to me is you use that instrument of thinking, yes. But you are not it. It's a great difference. And by detaching yourself from that instrument, from that manas rupa, from that mental body, you will then be able to, by understanding, to rest in nirvana or to come back and to attain any form you want. Any form. Because you have overcome it. So then, Schopenhauer said you are will. Well, then any criminal should be able to say to the judge, Your Highness, I am innocent. I couldn't do else than I did. I'm my will. Schopenhauer says. See, and this is very dangerous teaching, because then everybody who has a, let's say, evil tendency in himself, let's say, I can do anything else than outlive it, because I am that. No, you're not that. You just became for many lives attached to that kind of thinking and feeling and so forth. You can shake it off by teaching and meditation. What is the teaching of the old esoteric schools? Now, they said also that Maya has to do with Mula Prakriti, or root nature. And some misunderstand it and say Maya is real because Mula Prakriti is timeless, eternal, uncreated, as the Book of Light teaches. Yes. But you see, matter is only illusion when it takes on forms actually created by desire. And when you attach to these forms will always perish, because the nature of Mula Prakriti is harmony. What does harmony mean? In that sense, it means no form. Example, there is a nice surface of a lake, quiet, peaceful. That is his nature, its nature, in that comparison. Now you take a stone and throw it in. There will be immediately waves. Will they remain? Will they stay? No. The surface of the lake will return to its harmonious surface. You throw a stone in again, waves will be, and then there will be already again harmony. This is how Mula Prakriti is. Whenever you stir up matter, be it by birth or death, by returning into the spiritual, material world, it's like ripples on the surface of a lake and also of that Mula Prakriti. And yes, for a time the waves will be there and the forms will be there. Mineral, plants, animals, man, where are they now? From millions and billions of years. See? Always the form vanishes, disappears. All structure is made, so to speak, even. This is harmony. Well, we disturb that harmony always. Now, see, glory to the Ma Chohan and to the Book of Light. Real harmony isn't something that cannot be subject to change. It is a center. You can be and experience it at meditation. This is peace. The surface of the lake is peace. You throw in the stone, peace is disturbed for a while. What does the lake? It takes away that form. It equals it. But the substance remains, the water, the surface, in that allegory. Think about that. So when we disturb the harmony, and we do that with every birth, we disturb the harmony. This is why we must die. We are in a territory that basically is not ours. You know? We are not wanted. We are not welcome in this world. I tell you that. If we would be welcome, we would stay. We would remain. There is a sign outside the entry into this world. Do not enter. Do not pass. But we do. Good. It will be permitted to us and we will be thrown out again. We are kicked out again over and over again. What brings us back? Our desire. This is reincarnation. Nothing else. We belong to where we came from and not to where we are, dear friends. I tell you that. It's the teaching of the Buddha and of the Book of Light. And if you want to return into this transcendent and perishable world, you better study the Book of Light. In both cases, you want to stay or you want to go. You need the teaching. And this is also what we talk about morals. You see, what is morals? I tell you something, being even here is immoral. Are you aware of the fact that life can only be sustained by destruction of other life? You must eat, no, to live. What do you eat? You think that which you eat doesn't want to live? You think it wants to be eaten by you? You think a nut wants to be eaten? It wants to live. This is why the shell is so hard. Just an example. You think the animal wants to die? If it would be the purpose of an animal to die, the animal would say, here, take me, slaughter me. How nice to be slaughtered. Think about, dear friends, the Book of Light goes deep. Once you have followed me until here, I think you will not be able to just let it go and say, let him talk. No. Because you see, it is good for me that you are in the net of this teaching, because it will help you. It will diminish your suffering. So, moral. What is moral, you see? Is it based on conviction? On some teaching? It is basically, is moral something that you should not hurt somebody else. But when you live, you have to. You have not only to hurt, you have to kill somebody else. You think an apple wants to die? Yeah, excuse me, I say that so because a vegetarian Book of Light teaches Everything that is there, from the mineral to plant, animal, man, is the expression of spiritual powers. They want to manifest, they want to stay. Now you cut them off. Think about that. We have a sort of fundamental teaching that the basis of morality. And by that I mean not only what is good for the community, see? Because that will be quickly said, well, the easy said it's good for the community to kill everybody who is not following our rules. So that these are their morals. But their morals lack knowledge. They don't know that they will be victims sooner or later. And they will suffer. So they learn from suffering. Let me tell you. There are two ways to avoid suffering. Either by doing constantly that which causes you to suffer. Sooner or later you will suffer from that input of pain that you have loaded on yourself karmically, and you will abstain from it, just intuitionally, so to speak. Or you have the teaching. That is a shortcut, the ending of suffering. I promise you that. But what is morality really? Actually, it is in our heart to do the right thing, to be good to everything, to everybody. You see, how do people live in heaven after death? They also destroy matter, mula prakriti, but they not destroy it in the sense they live through osmosis. We talk about that later. This is the so-called mana. It drifts through their ethereal bodies and keeps them into energy. Here on earth, this mula prakriti is more dense, and we adjust that structure, that vibration to us by eating it. So at least when you eat, be vegetarian. It has a higher vibration and keeps you disconnected from the demonic worlds, I tell you. Don't drink, don't smoke. Of course there are people who drink, smoke, and do all the things one shouldn't do, and they say, well, I feel right. I say, still you feel right. Wait, you're on the downward path, and after death, the skandhas, the permanent atoms, we will talk about that, will arrange on a lower level than your true spiritual nature, and then you will suffer, sooner or later. What do we have in us? This is the inward universal self. And each of us has also, of course, his ego, so-called ego. We in the Book of Light say that the ego springs forth from the self, and that self, so to speak, cannot be named the monad. We just give it a name. Can actually only be experienced by thought now, but not by definition, because the definition, the self is beyond the world of manifestation. So if I use the definition of the world of manifestation, I say the wrong thing. So you see, it's just a hinting towards it. And science only talks about the shell, not the core. What is that lower self? It's actually an extension of the true self, which, driven by ignorance, manifests in the lower realms, although or unless it is a saint, a nirvani. He can go to any realm, low, high. He will always remain untouched and can help those people there, because he is not attached to any desires to heaven, earth, or hell. Now, are there completely evil person? No. No. Even the most evil person has in itself spark of the divine. Yeah?